Hello, we're here at Web Summit with Christiana Bukalo, CEO of Statefree. Hi, Christiana. Thank you for being here.
Hi.
The first question I have for you is one of the reasons why you founded Statefree was because of your own personal journey of growing up stateless in Germany. How did that experience shape your identity and in your sense of belonging?
Very good question. Hi, and thank you also for having me. I think I would maybe separate identity from belonging. So, in terms of my sense of identity, the interesting thing is that before I started State Free, I felt like, or I wanted statelessness to not be part of my identity at all. So, I completely avoided the topic. We never really talked about it. Also, at home with my parents, with my sisters, I wanted to focus on what is under my control. So, it wasn't part of my identity. And now, since I've started this work, I realized that it was always part of my identity, but I never let it in. And now it makes, like, I understand how much statelessness is part of my identity, meaning that I actually feel stateless. I feel like a person who is without a state. And sometimes that feels okay, sometimes it feels bad. It's like, it comes in different shapes and forms. My sense of belonging, I feel like statelessness, if I look at it on a very personal level, I have a very strong sense of belonging. I was born in Munich. I grew up in a small town close to the Munich city center, and I have a strong sense of belonging to the people, my friends, my family. But when it comes to the state, statelessness has a huge impact on my sense of belonging to the German state, because
Right.
I understand that while I feel like I belong to Germany, Germany actually rejects that sense of belonging. And unfortunately, it's not a two-way street. It's more of a one-way street from Germany to me and saying, no, you don't belong.
And what do you think was missing in the existing support systems that made you decide to create Statefree?
So there are different levels to what was missing. I think the number one thing for me was that there was no institution, no place to go to as a stateless person. I was born stateless, and yet the first time I actually understood what statelessness meant was when I turned 25, because there was no institution that ever explained to me what statelessness is. There was nobody who explained to me what my rights are. There's nobody who explained to me how many people are affected. I learned at the age of 25 that there are over 15 million people worldwide and that there are over 100,000 people in Germany, and I didn't know before that. So for me, there was a lack of transparency, a lack of information, and a lack of an institution that takes responsibility. So when we started our work at State Free, we started with this first layer of transparency. So what we did is we used the internet, which is a tool that you can use to create transparency, and launched the first online forum for stateless people so that people could share with each other who are stateless transparently what they are experiencing. So it was very much about making sure stateless people have the information that they need.
You said you realized that when you were 25. Was there like a wake-up call moment in your life?
Yeah, there was a very uncomfortable wake-up call, if I want to put it this way. So the first time I learned or heard the term statelessness was actually when I turned 18. That was because I got a travel document. That was the first time I got a travel document. And with the letter from the local administration that came with the travel document, it said stateless. So I read the word, and as soon as I read it, I understood, this is what is happening to me, because then you instantly understood. But then I understood that statelessness. I tried to research. I never found any information about statelessness. And then the first time I planned a bigger travel, I wanted to travel to Marrakesh, to Morocco. And I tried to research beforehand how I would be able to travel with the travel document, and I couldn't find any information. I asked the Moroccan embassy. They said they didn't know what statelessness is. I reached out to the German local authorities. They didn't respond. And the passport or the travel document says you are allowed to travel to every country. So I researched, and I found that people from Germany are allowed to enter Morocco. So I traveled there, and in Marrakesh at the airport, they told me that I'm not allowed to enter, that I would have needed a specific visa, and that they had already booked the next flight back to Germany for me, which left on the next day. So I had to stay at the airport gate for over 15 hours. I think it was almost 20 hours that I had to wait until the next flight back to Germany left, but not even to Munich, my hometown, but actually to another German city. And that was a very shocking wake-up call. that then made me realize that regardless of how much I feel like I am part of Germany, regardless of how I've grown up there, at the end, I'm still stateless and without any support from Germany.
Statefree is very much about self representation. What were some of the challenges that you face in convincing institutions to take stateless people seriously as experts of their own situation?
That's a very good question. I think we're still like on that journey. We're still on that path of making sure that decision makers actually take stateless people serious and understand that, because it's oftentimes about politicians being here to serve the country, right? So actually politicians should serve everyone who's in the country, and that means also stateless people. I think the challenges were, I mean, it's intersectional, right? I'm not only stateless, I'm also a black female who grew up in a predominantly white culture in Germany, a black female who was born in Germany, so it kind of messes with how Germans might define what German actually is, because I'm also a person who was born there exactly the same way that their children were maybe born in Germany, right? So it intersects with racism, it intersects with sexism. I am used to people underestimating me, and I'm used to people thinking that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm used to people not seeing me as an expert. So, and I think that in a weird way, it even helps because I know the challenge. So the experience that they make with me and me being in those conversations helps them to realize other stateless people are also experts. And
Yeah.
what we did is we always repeated that narrative. We always explained, you are an institution, you have created a system that doesn't even know about statelessness. When we had meetings with policymakers, we understood, we could see it in their faces that they don't know what statelessness is because we all went to the same school, we never learned about statelessness. So it's about making sure that we share the facts. We meet them on eye level and invite them to meet us on eye level too. Some of them do it, some of them don't. If they don't, we still meet them on eye level until they join us. So it's a very challenging journey. But I think one thing is that we like to we just continuously repeat this narrative, and also our work speaks for itself. We are very professional, we are fact-based, but we are also close to community, and we have more knowledge about statelessness than they do. That's very obvious.
Germany has recently begun to include statelessness in its political agenda due to Statefree's work. What has that process of engagement with policymakers been like?
It's interesting. I think I want to start with saying that I am extremely grateful also to those policymakers that we have been collaborating with in the last few years, because there are people who actually care about making policies that apply to people who should be protected and should have access to rights. And I'm very grateful that those people have been able to collaborate with us. In general, it is very interesting to see that, because if you start working with politics, you think, okay, you talk to one decision maker and then they have so much power, so that should lead to a solution. But then you understand that what is policy? What is the state? The state is made up of people, and all of those people have different roles. And you notice that some behaviors, like being reluctant to taking over responsibility, being unsure what is right, what is wrong, all of those different things also happen in policy and policy making. So for us, it's very much about understanding that all of these people are human beings. It's important to be respectful with each other, and then understand or define a shared goal. And with this shared goal, then defining the different steps to walk towards this goal that is also like something that everyone can agree to and commit to, even though the perspectives might be different.
And then finally, for those who do have citizenship, what do you wish they understood about people who don't?
So I think for those who do have citizenship, I want them to understand that it is our right, but it's also our responsibility of all of you, not only stateless people, but also those with citizenship, to know what statelessness is and what citizenship means. Because for some of us, it might be easy to get citizenship, but it's even, unfortunately, easier to lose citizenship. And I think that is something that a lot of people forget, because your citizenship is not owned by you, it is owned by the state. So it's important that we all know what our rights are. Then, obviously, if you have status people in your surroundings, support them by sharing with them, for example, that there are organizations that are working on the issue. Be open to having a conversation with them, but also at the same time, make sure that you understand that the statelessness isn't 100% of their identity. It's only one part, and see them as the human being that they are, and understand that they should have access to rights and they should have the right to have rights. So I think it's important to understand that we all need to learn what statelessness is. And if you know it, share it with a person that lives beside you or is befriended with you so that everyone at some point knows what statelessness is.
Christiana, thank you so much
Thank you for having me.
for sharing that with us. Thank